the people demand more common knowledge, and who am I to stop them? So I will oblige and see what our first card of the day is as I look at 10 common Magic the Gathering cards and tell you if they're any good in the Pauper format or not. I need to shut up because we have one of the best Magic cards of all time right here. I don't really like this Doctor Doom version. We can do better than that. But this is Dark Ritual. Let's see a real one here. Here we go. Here's a fantastic one. Rebecca Gay art, Future Sight frame. I have this card. It's $7. That's more expensive than I thought it'd be. I think I got mine out of a pack though. So, uh, Dark Ritual, single black mana for an instant. You add 3 black mana. That's about as clean as Magic gets, baby. Abandoned Oathbreaker. Okay. Abandoned Historic. That's potentially more real. This is a great card. From all the way back in Alpha, all the way back, baby. Only cost you $245. What a deal! What a bargain! But I think this is my favorite art. I love the eye. I love Rebecca does fantastic work. Dark Writ. It gets played. Not probably nearly as much as you might think, but it's a fantastic card, and I think it can go in a lot of decks. A lot of the ritual effects are that get played are more red cards, and that's because we just have more of a storm style deck that works in red. You don't really have a storm style deck that works in black. But there are decks that try to play this and Cabal Ritual and finding ways of making bigger mana and then cheating out bigger spells. Hypnotic Spectre, not in this format, but that was the old one of playing Dark Ritual on turn 1 and then using that 3 mana to get Hypnotic Spectre, and then you're tearing apart your opponent's hand by turn 2, and that can that can be hard to stop too. That would probably be the kind of Magic I would have played if I was playing all the way back then. Dark Writ's a great card. It is one of the best. I got to give this a high score, even though it doesn't see a ton of play in the Pauper format. You're having a card like this in the format does just give so much potential to black decks that if you are playing a black deck, you're probably thinking, should I put Dark Writ in this? And what cards, every time you see a 3 mana black spell, especially a black creature spell, I'd say, if this thing can come out on turn 1 and potentially really ruin an opponent's day, you might have to consider this. Also, imagine you play Vault of Whispers turn 1, you play a Dark Ritual, you play a Refurbished Familiar on turn 1. They have to discard a card right then and there, and then you start swinging in. Like that is kind of the the Hypnotic Spectre turn 1 play for Pauper. And that's not going to happen all the time because you only get to put 4 vaults and 4 Dark Rituals in your deck. But it's possible. It is possible. I mean, I guess also if you have like a Welding Jar or an Ornithopter or something, you can put one of those down for free and play a Swamp and then play Dark Ritual. So you can make it happen. Man, I kind of don't know what to give it. What do you give Dark Ritual? You tell me in the comments. What would you give Dark Ritual out of 10? I think I can go for an 8.2. Really high. Obviously really high. Probably should be higher, but there's just not a whole lot of decks I see that take advantage of Dark Ritual, even though it's kind of crazy that it's just in the format and it's totally fine. Like nobody's asking for a ban of Dark Ritual. And that's kind of wild. It's kind of wild that the Dark Ritual isn't powerful enough in Pauper to really ask for a ban. Crazy. Great card though. Next is Latula's Orders. 1 and a red for an enchantment aura with flash that enchants a creature. An enchanted creature deals combat damage to defending player. You may destroy target artifact that player controls. I do like that this can be played at instant speed, so you can make sure that your creature is getting in for damage first before you attach the aura. 2 mana for this effect. I mean, that's Not bad. You're kind of getting a shatter, but it's then a potentially repeatable shatter as your creature continues to swing in. I mean, this isn't bad. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why you wouldn't play it. It's an aura. It having flash does help to mitigate some of the things that are problems with auras. But if your creature dies, it is kind of losing 2 cards for one, and that never feels good. But also, if you are able to get in for damage, it's not losing 2 cards for one; it's losing 2 for 2 because you've destroyed one of their artifacts, and potentially you've destroyed a whole lot more. If you have a deck that has a lot of unblockable style creatures or creatures with some kind of evasion, whether it's flyers, whether it's like a changeling outcast that can't be blocked, putting this on that kind of good. If you're like as a sideboard piece against affinity, maybe that's not too bad. I'm and it's from prophecy too, so that's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Uh Affinity does have a lot of removal options though, so I don't think you're necessarily off the hook. But I don't know, there's something about it I really like. I'm gonna go ahead and give this thing a 3.7, and I might have to buy a couple of copies for myself. I'm just kind of impressed. I really am. Let me just open that up in a new link so I've got that. What do we got next? It's Gathan Rider, or not Riders, Raiders. Gathan Raiders for 3 and double red for a 3/3 human warrior with Hellbent. This creature gets +2/+2 as long as you have no cards in hand, and it morphs to discard a card. So you can cast it as a face down as a 2/2 creature for 3 mana, and you can turn it up or turn it face up at any time for its morph cost. This seems pretty good. Originally from Future Sight, doesn't have the Future Sight border. That's too bad. But I mean, 5 mana 3/3, bad. I don't think we're here to argue that. When you do get Hellbent, it being a 5/5 for 5 is okay. I mean, that's fine rate, I suppose. But the idea here that you can get a pretty good discount on it by playing it for 3 mana, and then as this free action, outside of discarding a card, but as this free action of Morph, being able to turn it into a 3/3 for I mean, essentially free. You're not spending mana on it, so that's can get a lot of opponents as like a combat trick kind of thing. Change the combat math. But also, if if the card you discard is your last card, which you can make happen, maybe in a madness deck, probably not because you're still trying to draw a bunch of cards in that deck too. You don't want to be out of cards. But if you are out of cards, if you do get out of cards, I mean, big vanilla 5/5 is not the worst thing to have. This is cool. This is kind of cool. I think you could do some cool things with it. Overall, it's probably not great, but it's a neat idea. So I think we can go for I think we can go for a straight 3 on that one. Instill Infection is 3 and a black for an instant. Put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, and you draw a card. 4 mana is crazy to spend on that. Yeah, it draws you a card, but a single -1/-1 counter? No, no, not in my house. I think we'll go with a 2.1, and a lot of that is because it says draw a card. But that's expensive. Haven Ghoul Scab. 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 Scab sounds fun. 5 and a blue for a 4/5 zombie horror. Whenever this creature attacks, return another creature you control to its owner's hand. Could be fun in some blinky bouncy stuff, but 6 mana for a vanilla 4/5, essentially vanilla 4/5. Nope. Nope. I do not think so. We'll go for a. I mean, the mana cost on this is so high. I know it's a blue creature, so it's not supposed to be a good body, but whew, I think they might have gone overboard on that. I'm gonna give this thing a 1.7 because if you're not doing a blink bounce strategy, this is a pretty poor. Like this is a bad downside. If you are playing a blink bounce strategy, why are you playing this? That's maybe even a better question. You should just play Dreamstalker instead. You'll have a lot more fun, I'm sure. Next up, Manacles of Decay, 1 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchants a creature. Enchanted creature can't attack. You can pay a black, and enchanted creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Or you can pay red, and enchanted creature can't block this turn. So a bit of a Mardu card here. Kind of interesting. You have ways of killing the creature. I mean, I don't really like killing the creature though, because I already have allowed it to not be able to block. So do I want to spend even more mana? Pacifism can just make it not attack or block to begin with. So why would I want to pay a bunch of black mana to now try to kill the creature? And as far as the red mana goes, again, I can just play a pacifism on a creature, and then I don't have to keep paying every turn for it not to be able to block. I think this is bad. I think this is a bad card. Bad card, bad effect, bad all around. We can go for a 1.5. It's when you consider all the other options you have, it just really sucks. Jaspera Sentinel, single green mana for a 1/2 elf rogue with reach. You can tap an untapped creature you control to add a mana of any color. I think this does see a little bit of play, or at least it used to. It is just a springleaf drum on a creature. So not as good as a springleaf drum, which you can use the turn you play it. You can't do that with Jaspera Sentinel. But it does add a mana of any color, which elf decks do like, because it allows them to play things like Breath Weapon if they need to. They're probably not playing a whole lot of Breath Weapon, but it allows them to play Distant Melody, which can pick up a ton of cards for all the elves that you're controlling. It allows it to play certain other cards, Arms Vidar or something like that, to just give elf decks a little bit more range in the things they can do. So it is useful in that, and you'll probably have plenty of extra free elves that you don't mind tapping. So that's not too bad either. Plus, it has reach. Just a 1 mana 1/2 reach is, that can stop a fairy, and that can potentially stall a fairy deck pretty decently until you're in position where you can do more things to them. And that's not too bad either. So, Jaspera Sentinel has seen play, probably continues to see play. I'll admit, elf decks are not my forte, but I've certainly played against them, and it can be rough sometimes to play against those. And Jaspera Sentinel is one small reason why. I think we can give this thing a 5.8. 5.8 out of 10. Good card. Emperor Crocodile, we have definitely done before, but just look at it. What a majestic creature. What a majestic boy over there. What'll our next card be? It's Urborg Drake, 1 and Dimir, so 1 blue black for a 2/3 Drake. And it flies, and this creature attacks each combat if able. That is way too normal. Way too normal. 3 mana 2/3. I mean, that is just a. Well, I guess it's better than a Windrake, right? Windrake is a 3 mana 2/2 that flies. So you are getting better than a Windrake, but having to attack each combat if able is a real downside. You can just get better creatures. I'm almost positive you can get the exact same stat line with flying for this mana cost, or maybe even an easier mana cost. Not like 2. Well, okay, so you could do it for 2 mana. It's called a Core Skyfisher, but I think you can even do it in Dimir colors and get a better creature than this. This is bad. Just a bad card. We'll go for a. I'll give it a 2. Will I? 1.9. That makes me feel a little better. 1.9. Burnt Offering. Here we go. This card is sneaky good in lots of decks, but I'd probably say Commander is where this might be a real sneaky great card that people are sleeping on. And still, this card didn't used to be $1.70, so you could have picked it up a whole lot cheaper. I'm pretty sure I got my copy for way cheaper. But it also has a secret layer version for $18, which is a little rough. Burnt Offering is a single black mana for an instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you sacrifice a creature. You add X mana in any combination of black and or red, where X is the sacrificed creature's mana value. Wild. Just a wild card. Imagine sacrificing a 3 mana guy, getting 3 mana, and then being able to spend that. Maybe you need the fixing. This fixes your mana. That's crazy, right? This is really good when you start considering there are creatures that can be discounted. You put this on you sacrifice a refurbished familiar with this. Maybe you only spent one for the refurbished familiar, but now the refurbished familiar still has a mana value of 4. You sacrifice the refurbished familiar and you get 4 mana in any combination of red or black. That could potentially play 3 more refurbished familiars and do something else. That's really good. Burnt Offering's a great card. It's kind of wild that we had Dark Writ and then had Burnt Offering so close together. Dark Ritual is the better card, but you can have some higher highs with Burnt Offering. It's just that you're getting lower lows most of the time, I would say. Great card. Really, really good card. Probably not quite as good in Pauper. I did mention Refurbished Familiar. That's a thing that you could certainly play with it. Um, you know, Mirror Enforcer, same reason. Potentially playing Mirror Enforcer for free and then sacrificing Mirror Enforcer to a Burnt Offering to make 7 mana. Like Affinity could do some crazy stuff with this, and it's all color mana too. Like that's really cool. I'm gonna give it what its potential is, and not necessarily what it gets in the meta right now. And I think its potential is pretty darn high. I'm gonna give this. I guess it's a bit of a pun. I'm gonna give this a 6.6. I love Burn Offering. Really, really good magic card. Especially good in Commander when you have a lot of stuff that can be put out pretty cheaply. If you cascade, if you reanimate, I guess is better. You reanimate something really big, and then you Burnt Offering it, and you could probably get enough mana to spend on another reanimate effect, and then also do something else crazy on your turn. Man, Burnt Offering. You get to do this at instant speed too. Not that that's a huge deal, because you're probably going to want to spend it on sorcery speed spells like creatures and sorceries. But man, what a card. I love Burnt Offering. Nimina Sellsword is 3 and a black for a 2/2 human warrior ally. Whenever this creature or another ally you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. We've seen some ally stuff work. I don't know if it necessarily works in black. You got some changelings available to you for sure that all count as allies. There's some stuff from Avatar that it's allies that probably synergizes a little bit with this. It's a little slow. And when I say a little slow, I mean a lot slow. 4 mana for a 2/2 to begin with is really bad. And we just have lots of ways of getting bigger creatures, putting +1/+1 counters on creatures to make them big. And they have hoops that are easier to jump through than this. Having to play that many allies, I think, is really going to drag down your game plan, and it's probably not going to work exactly the way you want. This is great in Commander. As part of an allies deck, you can do probably some crazy things when you're putting a lot of allies on the board at one time and getting lots of different effects. And this could just be one of them to make a big vanilla beater like that. But in Pauper, I think you need to be a little bit more tuned than that, and this ain't gonna do it. We'll go with a 2.3. The slowness is really bad. And I think we'll end this on Inkling Summoning 1 and double Orzhov hybrid. So white or black and a white or black for a sorcery that's also a lesson. That'll be important. Maybe. And you create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. 3 mana for a 2/1 flyer is not very good. Not very good at all. But being able to be fetched with any sort of card that learns is cool. So this can be in your sideboard and you can just go grab it if you really needed a flyer. This is not one of the better lesson cards to go grab. I think you'll find lots of other lesson cards that you'll probably want to play over this one, but it's still, I guess has some function to it. I just wouldn't play it. I think we can give this a. I mean, it's worse than a Windrake, right? It's a 3 mana 2/1, 3 mana 2/1 flyer. Eh, yeah, I don't particularly like it. I think we'll go for like a 1.8. This is not my speed, but you're my speed. Thanks for joining me. See you on the next one. Bye.